So today is Thursday, the 10th of July 2025. We're having our pre-New York session analysis. I'm currently on Forex Factory. Just a second. All right. So we have an event by 1:30 p.m. and that is unemployment claims from the United States. And this news measures the number of individuals who file for unemployment insurance for the first time during the past week. An actual less than forecast will be good for the dollar. So it means that if data comes out bad for the dollar, then we'll look at buying the dollar. If it comes out good for the dollar, we'll look at, if it comes out actual greater than forecast, we'll be selling. If it's actual less than forecast, we'll be buying the dollar. But let's just ignore that. We're going to focus more on the color. If it comes out as a color green, either green means we are buying and red means that we'll be selling the dollar. So if it's a red, it means we are selling. The FOMC member Waller's speech by 3 p.m., 6:15 p.m., I would just advise to ignore it. Though in reality, it's better if you have a running trade, make sure you have your stop loss just in case, because like I always say, it's difficult to determine the direction that speeches will go. So the best thing is to avoid them as much as you can, as much as possible. All right, so I'll go over now to the charts and we'll look at what is obtainable this afternoon for the unemployment claims that we're expecting from the United States. All right, so for the unemployment claims, now I held a bullish outlook on the dollar from the beginning of the week. Though this week, dollar seems to have been largely unstable. Sometimes you see it buying, some other time you see it selling. We've not really had a clear-cut direction for the dollar. But nonetheless, the news from the United States unemployment claims might still move the market. So what direction are we potentially looking at? We'll still maintain that former bullish outlook on the dollar. It's still the overall sentiment, regardless of what is happening. Though in reality, volatility is very, very low in the market. But probably this news might spice up the market by bringing in some volatility that we so much need at this point in time. So if the data comes out, good for the dollar, we'll look at buying the dollar. And if it comes out bad for the dollar, we look at selling the dollar. But I want to take it a little bit closer so that we can see. All right, so this is a 15 minutes time frame. The time is still far away, still over like 50 minutes from now. So there's still a lot of time for a lot to happen in the market. But then what I will look at is this. Between at the time that data will be released, I will have a minor resistance up here and I will have a minor support below here. All right. So by 1:30 p.m., if the news comes out good for the dollar and price breaks out above this resistance, yes, we can trigger a buy. If on the other hand, now we don't know the direction of employment claim is really going to go. Sometimes it actually works. It doesn't depend on what we see on the technicals. So that's why I'm giving you a range. If it breaks out above that resistance, it means we're buying. If it rather reverses and breaks out below the support level, it also means we're selling. So, and that's on USD CHFs. I've given you an idea, a trade idea, ahead of the news. So what I want you to do by 1:30 p.m. is that you look at your chart As I'm talking right now, you can replicate the same resistance and support zone on your device, maybe your phone or your laptop. And by 1:30 p.m., if the news comes out and price goes and breaks, once it breaks above this level, you can trigger a buy. And if on the other hand, it price reverses and breaks below this support level, you can trigger a buy, I mean a sell in the other direction. But as much as possible, avoid buying and selling at the same time. That's not going to give you any good result. You have to face just one direction. And another confirmation for you also may be that you can go back to Forex Factory. Since we have drawn our zones ahead of time, you can go back to the Forex Factory page quickly within a split second after the data is released and check. If it is a green, then it means you are buying. The color here is a green, it means you are buying. And if on the other hand, it's a red, it means you are selling. So you can compare that to what we see on the chart to take an informed trading decision on the unemployment claims by 1:30. That's my trade idea for the news we have ahead. But then there are about two other setups that I'm watching this afternoon also, which might be beneficial to us. I'll be looking at the GBP JPY and the CAD CHF. Though these two setups are actually more swing, but then they can still be of help to someone. You may have a strategy that can trigger you in early to catch the big move on these two instruments. So for GBP JPY, this is my outlook. Now, this is GBP JPY on the 4-hour time frame. I'll start from the daily. On the daily time frame, price hit a resistance level. We have a resistance here, and price hit it the second time. Technically, that is an opportunity to look for a bearish breakout. Then at the same time, this rising wedge pattern formed a confluence point here where the trend line meets with that resistance. So we have a confluence that could also point us into the bearish direction. I'll zoom it out to be bigger. You can see the candle for yesterday also closed as a rejection candle at that confluence point where the resistance meets with the trend line. So technically, we are looking at a bearish breakout. And also the structure of the charts of the candles here, you can see price making higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So the next wave of movement is a higher low. So everything is pointing towards the bearish direction on the GBP JPY. So if you take it down to the 4-hour time frame, I'm also seeing what looks a lot like a shoulder, a head, a second shoulder, which is a bearish reversal pattern and can point price downwards. And I can still draw a trend line here also to anticipate a breakout of price downwards. So everything around this instrument is screaming that the bears are likely taking over the market. So if price breaks out below this minor support level, if a new candle breaks out below this support level, then we'll see price drop to this trend line. And we need a confirmation of our RSI clearly below 50 at that point in time. So we're bearish on the GBP JPY. And this move can generate as much as about 78 pips to Fibonacci 50, about 131 pips to Fibonacci 61.8. And there's those two levels, price may get there. If not today, much later, because it looks more like a swing setup. But either ways, we are bearish on GBP JPY. And the other one is the CAD CHF. Now, I gave my outlook on CAD CHF at the beginning of the week, and I said I held a bullish outlook, and I still hold that bullish outlook. Now, it's a lot better refined now compared to what I shared at the beginning of the week. Now, we have price clearly, making lower lows, falling down this trend line, which is actually a falling wedge pattern, and price towards the trend line. So we're expecting a reversal, at least to this upper part of the trend line. On another angle, this is forming a very sharp looking double bottom pattern. So we're having price at a lower low, possibly reversing to the upside on the weekly time frame. If you take it down to the daily, we discover that it's a lot clearer here. We have also a support zone here, which can lead to price bouncing off. And a double bottom pattern is equally forming to aid that support zone, to break price up into the upside. And finally, on the 4-hour, it's still the same double bottom pattern. You can see the support zone right there. All of them meeting at the trend line, which is forming the confluence. So we're anticipating a bullish breakout on the CAD CHF. So we're bullish on the CAD CHF. Now, if you want to trigger your entry possibly faster, you may look down towards possibly the 1-hour time frame. And I'm not really getting a sharp looking trend line for now, but okay, let's look at a zone. All right. So if price breaks out above this current zone with a new candle, price is testing that zone already. If a new candle opens above this zone, RSI is already above 50. If you have a new candle above this zone, that would trigger us into a bullish movement. So you can look at taking the buy trade once a new candle opens above the current zone. That's the support and resistance zone, as we anticipate price to keep climbing higher on the CAD CHF. All right, so that'll be all from analysis this afternoon. If you have a question, you can go ahead and drop it as we begin to round up. So in summary, I've analyzed about 3 instruments. I said that for the dollar, I've given you USD the zones to look at. If it breaks out to the upside, we're buying. If it breaks out to the downside, we're selling. And like I said, face just one direction, in this trade. Don't go buy, sell. Don't straddle. Just let's wait and see the data, the result of the data. If it comes out good, we'll buy USD. If it comes out bad, we'll sell the USD. Then I've showed you my outlook on CAD CHF, where I'm very bullish, and on GBP JPY, where I'm bearish on 4-hour. CAD CHF, I'm bullish on 1 hour. And though it may go beyond 1 hour, it may go into swing 4-hour and the rest. But on the GBP JPY, I'm bearish on 4-hour time frame for that. All right, so that'll be the end of this analysis session. Do trade safe and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.